Hey guys, Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves. It's Thursday. Yay, Thursday.
Yay! I'm happy. Hey, y'all. Okay, for those of you new to Smart Business Moves, if you've never seen me with my jacket on backwards, it's gonna make you crazy. I know. Don't worry. It's because I get hot. Ow, there's a fancy hat here. So I've got the backwards jacket. Tom's got the pants on his head. That's just quite the event here. So I get hot. I get cold arms, but the rest of me is hot. So this helps to like fix the problem. Yay. Hey, Denise. What do you think of Tom's pants? Denise. I was laughing so hard at these.
And I'm going from the most conservative to the most
Outlandish.
outlandish, and there's one more to go. So
I really love the other ones too.
this was yesterday.
That's from yesterday.
They kind of
I
blend.
know. Denise, I'm so sad that I had different headset on every day because Tom got all the good hats. So
Yeah.
cute. Okay, Robin wants you to turn your hat around. He wants to see. I feel like that's really something wrong with that, Robin. Why you want to see Santa's backside? But okay, it's boring. You feel better, Robin?
Oh, you wanted to see if you had any like butt crack going on?
I don't know. Santa's tushy. What's up with that, Robin? That's just odd.
Plumber's butt.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that there's nothing funky going on with your head and doesn't give a weird look to the back of Santa. That's good.
Yeah, that wouldn't be cool, would it?
No, wouldn't be cool. Hey, I have a very odd question that is not at all on topic, and I'm going to ask anyway. So I'm at this hotel that I told you guys about, and outside of my front window, there's a very tall flagpole. And today, somebody was hanging the flag on this flagpole. It's one of those really big flags, but it was a single guy doing it, and the flag was all over the ground, everywhere. I remember somewhere that flags aren't allowed to touch the ground, or they have to be burned. Is that true, or is that like an old wives' tale, or what's the deal with that? Anybody know? I'm just curious if that's something I heard when I was a little kid and stuck with me, or
No, you're not supposed to let the flag touch the ground if you're part of the team that's manning the colors, so to speak. It's letting it hit the ground's a pretty big deal. Now, it's kind of like, if a tree falls in the woods and there isn't anybody there to hear it, does it really, it's kind of a big deal if it's like a formal ceremony with a lot of people,
okay.
saluting, and like, if that's like a Boy Scout event and that happens, that's a pretty big deal. And technically you're supposed to retire the colors at that point, which is a nice way of saying burn it.
So the guy was totally within his right to turn around and flip me off when I yelled out the window they had to burn his flag. Is that right?
Yeah.
I would never. I would never. And he didn't flip me off.
Yeah, you never know when somebody's armed. You just don't need to be picking those fights.
I would never. Well, it was one guy, and I can pretty much guarantee that this is a very expensive flag because it is, I don't know, like 12 feet deep.
It really takes two people to do that properly.
And it wasn't folded correctly when he came out. It was like in a wad.
Well, probably because he's been doing it by himself, and you can't really fold it by yourself either. So
unless you fold it on the ground, which would not be good. Yeah. So
and I guess a garbage can or something to tote
That's what he used. That is what he used. But he didn't put it in the can. He had it on top of the can. I was like, oh, if he had it in the can, he'd been able to keep it off the ground. But anyway, enough of that. I was just curious if that was really still a thing. If you like the flag, yes, it's bad. If you don't care, then no big deal. Good point, Robin. Very good point. Hey, Natasha. Hey Liz, what I would do is when you check out, just let the front desk know that you saw that. It's the other hotel. So I'm in like the Riverfront Inn or something like that, and this was at the Holiday Inn Express. So good call on that, but I probably
Take a
don't care.
picture and like post it on Facebook and tag Holiday Inn.
Yeah, that sounds like something I'd do, Tom.
No,
Just like me.
probably garner a lot of feedback from all kinds of directions.
Especially right now after yesterday. Are you kidding me? I think I could be inciting something really bad. I don't think that'd be a good idea.
But you know, flags are made out of this like synthetic material. So
Yeah.
like when you like retire a flag, it puts out this like black plume of smoke. It's
Oh,
probably bad for the environment and carcinogenic, and I don't know. I mean, it's still done, but it looks like you're burning tires.
yeah, it does smell like that too. I can see why it would. It does have that feel of some sort of a resin or something in it. I'm in Seaside, Oregon, and the hotel was the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, if you want to call them.
We
I hope the guy doesn't get in trouble though, because he was really struggling with this flag. He was trying. So, all right. Well,
what's happening? What's happening in the PPP employee retention tax credit world?
I know 2 more people that got their loans approved. So they got notified that their loan was accepted and approved. Their PPPs. Yay. Second ones.
You know, you could go through a process where if you wanted to apply using the numbers you used the first time, you can do that. But if you can calculate and show a greater payroll by using more current numbers, you can do that too and get a larger amount.
What?
And we went through that exercise and found that in one instance, we are going to be able to get more PPP money for a company this year than last because the revenue is up. Not the revenue, but the payroll. Well, the revenue is too, but it's the payroll is what matters.
All right. So because both were up, so but it's still quarter over quarter, right?
We qualified because of diminution of income on second quarter,
Mm-hmm.
but fourth quarter revenue now is higher than payroll is higher now than what it was fourth quarter of the year before. Fourth quarter 20 is higher than fourth quarter 19. So rather than using the old PPP numbers, we're submitting it based on the fourth quarter 941, I think it is, the quarterly tax return.
Uh-huh.
The problem is we need the 941 for Q4, and our payroll tax provider, the people that do the payroll aren't going to be able to get it until next week.
Okay.
But it's going to be more money, so we'll wait a few days and
totally worth it. Yeah.
More money.
Awesome. Hey Juan, good to see you. PayPal came out with the second round already, but in the application that's the SBA loan number, and I can't seem to find that anywhere. Not the PayPal loan number, but the SBA number. So we had other people saying this. Hey, Denise, post this in group because I can get you an answer quickly over there from somebody else in there. So just post it. I'll give you an answer. Tom, and I can get you an answer tomorrow. Well, next Monday. We won't be here tomorrow. Hey, Leslie. All right.
You want to get to work?
I'm tired. I've been working really hard.
Tired? What have you been doing, Liz?
Oh, I'll smack you right now. You're lucky you're in South Carolina.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's get going.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. I'm glad you started now.
I'll help. I'll get the ball rolling here. We've been talking about, the KPIs that drive profit. What do we call these? The KPIs?
I call them the KPPIs. Yeah, because the payroll the payroll, the key performance profit indicators. That's how I think of them.
Or is it the key profit performance indicators?
You can do it however you want. How I think of them is the key performance profit indicators.
Something else to keep straight.
It's so hard.
Anyway, you can take any one of these green numbers and make it go up, and you're going to be making more money. You can take any one of these red numbers and make it go down. You're going to be making more money. Simple.
It doesn't have to go down a lot either, y'all. So percentage point is a lot. You're making more money just making those numbers move. So the thing I like about it, I know I say this all the time, but the thing I like about it is I feel like I have control over them, and I feel like there's something I can do, and I don't look at these numbers with the feeling like, oh no, it's going to be terrible. What am I going to see? How is it going to hurt me? Instead, I'm like, okay, what am I going to see? What's going to be the worst number? The one that I can work on. Like, then seeing a bad number is like, yay, that's where I'm going to be able to get the biggest win. Where before, maybe not so much.
Robin's asking if I have the awesome spreadsheet ready to review, to share. I'm working on it. I'm getting close. Well, I'm getting close. I got closer. I actually was able to download it and get it in an Excel spreadsheet. But
okay.
We'll get it up here over the next couple of days. By Monday, unless something crazy happens, we'll have that available.
And Tom, I'm sorry. Anytime you need me to give you something in Excel, just let me know, because I can just, once I download it, it automatically goes back into Excel.
Well, getting in Excel was the easy part, and then life happened today.
Well, I think we both know I can help with the easy stuff, but not so much with the hard stuff. So
it depends. Depends on the nature of the hard stuff.
That's true. I can handle all the people hard stuff.
We've been drilling on loaded direct payroll to revenue, and we've been talking about all the ways that we can make that go down, because that's one of the more important ones. Although you mentioned, sometimes a small move can be significant. It doesn't, in a number of these, a small move can be significant. If you can take your attrition rate per month for recurring home and make it go down a point, and we'll be showing you this in the weeks ahead, it makes a crazy difference in the amount of revenue and the size your business can grow to by just making, like a 1 percentage point there, or annual rate increases. And, a lot of times people kind of forget and overlook to do that. But if you do rate increases on a regular basis, even a couple of points over a few years, it makes a really big difference in the amount of revenue that you're generating. So anyway, those are down the road. Today is loaded direct payroll to revenue, and there's a bazillion things that you can do to drive that number down, because it's a red number.
How many things
a
are there?
bazillion.
A bazillion. All right.
And we're going to go through each and every one of them. Feels like we have been.
It does feel a little like we have been going through each and every one of them. But can we keep it down to like a zillion instead of a bazillion?
If we must, we'll give you the abridged version.
All right, good.
Make the loaded direct payroll go down and make the revenue go up, or ideally a combination of the both. And to make the loaded direct payroll go down, labor load, something you can look at. We've talked about that, and we're on training expense now. And the thing about training expense that really affects that is your turnover rate, and we're talking about how we manage our turnover rate to reduce it. And where were we?
All right, so I'm just checking. Just give me a yes or a no here, y'all, especially those of you that have been on the call. Do you remember why we're focusing on turnover so strongly, and how we are connecting training expense to turnover and the reasoning behind that, so that I don't have to explain it all again? I'm happy to, and I know Tom will too, but let me know. Do you guys remember that connection there? Let me know. Yes or no would be super helpful. But until we hear from you, we're going to go ahead and move on. But that is the reason I'm asking this question is it's really important that you understand the why behind this. Otherwise, when we're not having a Facebook Live and you're just looking at these numbers, you won't be looking to make the right changes. You can fall back into some old patterns. You don't understand the why. Mm. I'm not encouraged that people remember why, Tom. Usually people do. They hit yes really quickly. So maybe we better just
I
hit
don't
that
see
again.
a lot of whys here. Okay, when you have turnover, that means every time you have to hire someone, you have to train them and you have to put them through a training program, and you're going to have salary dollars tied up with that. And those are underperforming salary dollars. Some of them are going to be spent, you're not generating any revenue with them. A larger amount of it's going to be spent in, you're going to be getting some revenue, but not nearly as much revenue per dollar as what you would if you were working with a trained cleaning professional. Robin says he's had it. He's
All
heard
right, then let's go because nobody said no. They had their
it.
chance.
Good.
Robin spoke up. Winner, winner. Thanks, Robin. I would love to move on.
Short story though, just for the sake of being repetitive, is if you can reduce your turnover, you're going to reduce your overall investment in training. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be investing in training the people that you do train. And arguably, if you invest more money in a fewer number of people, that's the optimum place to be. But if you have turnover, you're just going to be spending money and it's just going to be going out the door, and you keep doing it. And before you know it, you've burned a lot of salary dollars and don't have any revenue to go against it. It makes your payroll to revenue go up. It means that you clean a bunch of homes and don't have as much to show for it as you should. How's that, Liz?
Is it bad that I cut you off like 4 words in?
Well,
Just like, not thinking anymore. I'm with Robin. I'm ready.
you mute me. Where did we leave off yesterday? Were we getting ready to jump into week 1?
Yep, we sure were. We're just going to talk about week 1 and things that we're looking for with week 1, and how to make sure that we are. All right, Tom, you got the excellent overview, the thumbs up.
Thank you.
Pretty concise too, Tom. How we move forward and make week 1 an experience for the new employee that is engaging and is compelling to get them to want to stay at the company. So here we have setting expectations. I want to talk a little bit about setting expectations, like what are some of the ways that we need to set expectations, where some of the things that are really important. Then the next one, we're talking about how to make your company attractive. And in this area, you would be focusing mainly on matter and meaning. And then how to help them succeed is measure and accountability. So starting with setting expectations, I think that everyone by now recognizes that setting expectations is hugely important. Well, maybe not. Well, let me just repeat something that I heard quite a long time ago now, maybe, I don't know, 12, 15 years. I had a labor audit at my company, and the woman that was at our company that was auditing us, she said something to me that I thought was really useful, and I just glommed onto it, and I've used it in almost everything that I do when it comes to employees, also with clients, and actually my kids, my husband too, but mostly with my my clients. Sorry, my phone tried to start talking to me. And what she said was the number one source of all labor complaints is unmet expectations. So the reason why the majority, and she said it was a vast majority of people file labor claims, is because they had an expectation that you didn't meet. I mean, not you, but the company, that the company didn't meet in some way. So what I took from that is, if I don't want to have labor claims, I need to set expectations in a way that the employee can say, oh, now I know what we're doing. Oh, okay. And then they're not frustrated with me. They can, you might remember on the graph that we had yesterday, Tom, sometimes people leave because they're frustrated with themselves, and sometimes they leave because they're frustrated with the company. My objective was to make sure that nobody ever left my company because they were frustrated with us and the way we ran our company, but because they were just not liking it, or they thought there was some failing in them, not in us. And so I wanted to talk about some of those areas where I think there can be some good opportunity.
I think everybody appreciates at a high level, an academic level, that it's important to set expectations. If that were a yes or no question, I think everybody would get it right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in the whirlwind of running your business every day, you know, setting expectations kind of falls, if you go into Covey's 4 quadrants, it's important but not urgent, or at least it's often not treated that way. And it's the kind of thing that oftentimes gets overlooked. And if you could get processes in place to kind of make it foolproof, that's the important part. And we've talked about this, I don't know so much about here lately, but on the quality side, where quality is nothing more than expectations and perception. Be it, we talk about this more on the consumer side. You clean homes, yeah, we clean homes. You got fruit, yeah, we've got fruit. You show up with bananas and we're expecting oranges. It's like, you got a job, yeah, we got a job. We clean homes. You clean homes, yeah, we clean homes. They show up and say, "What the heck is this? I didn't expect this at all." There's such a broad definition and understanding of what cleaning homes is, that if you don't really drill down into it, somebody's going to come in thinking that, well, I wake up Saturday morning, I take the trash out and run the vacuum cleaner, and that's taking, you clean toilets. Have you ever hired somebody and they act surprised that you clean toilets? We have. I've heard that. You guys clean toilets? Yeah.
I haven't had that, but I have had a situation where people are expecting us to do things that I had never considered. The first one was, I had a lady completely ream me out because our team members did not clean inside her vacuum cleaner. And her thought was, is there anything dirtier in my home? I don't think so. There's not a dirtier thing in my home, and that's the thing you don't clean? What the heck? I was like, well, alrighty then. That's like a really good position. Again, setting expectations. So it can go both ways too. Sometimes you do more than they're expecting. Sometimes you do less. But in their minds, it's not more or less. It's wrong. You're just doing the wrong stuff because you're not doing what they thought you were going to do. So even if you try to tell them, yeah, but we did this extra thing. Why? Why did you do that? I didn't want that done. You didn't do the stuff I wanted to get done. So setting expectations is a really big deal. But in this case, we are talking about employees. I think the customer example is really useful because most of us running our companies are more used to thinking about how important it is to set good, clear, concise expectations with our clients, but not as much with our employees. I see a lot of business owners that haven't really given the idea of setting expectations with your employees as strong of a focus as they do with their clients. Now, especially in week one. Now, week one is going to be just critical for people to understand. And so I thought we could talk about, Juan, good. I'm glad that this stuff is working for you. Great. Let's see. Setting expectations. The first one is pay. People need to understand how they're getting paid, how much money that will be, how much is going to come out in taxes, how much they're actually taking home. They need to have a really good understanding about what kind of money they're getting. Because if they have an idea, here's an example. Let's say that you tell them they're going to be making $15 an hour. And if this is a new employee, somebody that hasn't worked before, they're going to expect that they're going to just take their number of hours that they worked, 20, and they're getting paid $15 an hour, great. Then my paycheck should say $300. When it doesn't, you're cheating them. So that sounds very, very simplistic. And there aren't very many people that fall into that category because most people know about taxes, etc. But not everybody does nowadays, for sure. And especially if the minimum wage in your area has changed a measurable amount over the last year or so, people might be expecting that they will be getting more money than they actually get. They think it's going to turn into a larger paycheck where sometimes it can look like almost the same amount. It's $20 different. I thought it was going to look like $100 or that, they don't actually do the math. They just think, wow, now that I'm going to be making all this money, I'm going to be rich. So pay is a really important one.
And there's so many dimensions of that, everything from how the tips work to how often you get paid, and do you get a check? Is it direct deposit? I mean, any one of those can kind of get you off base.
Mm-hmm. I love the one that you said about tips, Tom. Sometimes people aren't expecting that they're going to get tips at all. And so that's a fun surprise for them. But if they think they're going to be getting a lot of tips and then they're not, that can cause people to not even want to work here anymore. They feel like they're getting cheated again by the customer. Now they don't like the customers because they're not getting their tips. And I think most of you notice that January tips are lower than they are in December. People give bigger amounts of money in December, and a lot of people don't tip in January. That's a thing that happens over here, at least where we are. The other thing around pay is that's really important. If you don't pay just hourly, that for every single hour that's worked. So if you don't pay them the same wage between the jobs, if you pay a different rate for drive time. I thought that said meth mode. I was like, what?
Method is huge. If you do any type of incentive pay, you need to have a lot of discussion about that.
Yep. One of the things that I really like to do is have a sit down with everybody when they get their first paycheck and just go over it with them and show them where the money was calculated, how it was made, especially if you're paying percentage, commission. What's the one that Chris pays? What's that called? Job ticket hour? Any of those types of pay, because people don't really understand it and they can get frustrated. We had a situation, I can't remember where it was, but we had a situation either with a student or something where they were saying this. They were saying, we don't, because they paid on percentage, and they were saying, we don't pay for drive time. That almost turned into a labor claim, because obviously you have to pay for drive time. And obviously the company was paying for drive time. They were paying from the start of the day until the end of the day, and they were averaging out the money. But what they were trying to say is you don't get paid any additional monies during your drive time. It's your percentage pay. Well, they didn't explain that well, and all the employee heard and shared with all the other employees in the company is, we don't get paid drive time. And if you've never been paid percentage commission before, it can look like you are absolutely not getting paid for that time in some cases. So that turned into a big thing, lost a lot of employees over that. Can't remember who it was, but.
And at that point, if anybody decides to go to the Department of Labor and says that my employer is not paying me drive time, especially if several people are upset and they're all making that claim, and then the Department of Labor shows up on your doorstep, and at that point, it's not an audit. They call that an investigation and handled a little bit differently. And more times than not, you're going to wind up writing a check for something.
Yeah, because they're not only checking drive time now that they know you're not paying correctly, they're going to check everything. And so that can turn into a really big thing. I think we all agree. Anybody here want an audit or an investigation? I don't need more information than that. Those 2 words, nope, don't want it.
You remember when Don Finn was here most recently, or maybe not most recently, but it wasn't that long ago that he was. One of his vignettes, he talks about the analogy where you got in any story, you've got a villain, you've got a victim, and you've got a
Rescuer.
hero.
Yeah.
And more times than not, in an employment situation, the employee sees themselves as the victim and sees the employer as the villain. And if they need help, then oftentimes the legal system or the authorities are called in to be the hero. So just another way of looking at this setting expectation is you want to make sure that you're creating the right level of understanding and trust where your employees aren't seeing themselves as the victim and seeing you as the employer as the villain.
You don't want your employees seeing themselves as the victim in any way, because that doesn't bode well for you. That triangle, that conflict triangle, sits in all different areas of conflict. So even if they see you as the rescuer and themselves as the victims, that can spin on you very quickly too. So you just don't want your employees thinking of themselves as victims when it comes to anything having to do with work. So as soon as you can get people out of that mode, the better. I'm glad you brought that up, Tom. That's huge. All right. So what are some other areas where you really know you need to set expectations, y'all? I know that you guys know some of this stuff too. So throw a few out there. The next one for me that is a really big deal is how people get time off. So people want to get time off. They want to be able to go to the doctor, go to their children's events at school. Well, back in the day when that was a thing. And they wanted to know how to be able to get time off, how to request it, how to get it approved, how, everything from the getting paid for it, on the process for doing it, whether they're allowed to have time off and how much. The whole process around time off is a really big thing. If people don't understand your time off process, they can quit. They may leave for that. I've heard more than one person that has left a company because of that. Anybody else have something else that Leslie, I know you're really good at setting expectations. What are some of the things that you really focus on? Another one that I think is really important is the training. What is the training going to look like? How long is it going to last? Who's going to train me? What am I going to be learning about, in what order? And will I be training in people's houses? Just what does the training process look like? That is a really big deal for people as well. How about you, Tom? You have anything that is a really big deal for setting expectations?
I think it's very important, like day one, to talk about safety and how that's important within your company and things in particular that you expect of all employees from a safety perspective. For a lot of reasons, part of this ties back into the whole labor load thing. You don't want to have accidents. And some people have different attitudes about safety, but you want to make sure they understand that you take it very seriously. And and you want to make sure that they have an understanding what the policies are. And if they violate them, then that can be a career-ending mistake with your company.
I can say that I learned this lesson the hard way personally also. I have never been the type of person that worries a lot about safety. It's just not part of my DNA. If you get hurt, you get hurt. Things happen. It's kind of always been my attitude. And that has hurt me in a multitude of ways. But one of the biggest ones, those are good too. One of the biggest ways that hurt me was I had an employee that had been with me, I can't remember how long, maybe 10, 12 years. And she thought I wasn't taking her safety serious. And she put in her notice for after working how many years, right? She thought, you don't even care about me. You're not taking my safety seriously. Then I don't want to work with you no matter what after all those years. So that really was a wake up call for me about how important safety is for your people to set those expectations too.
And if anybody feels that way and feels strongly enough about it where they would go to OSHA and express that concern, then, that's not the Department of Labor, but OSHA, they do investigations as well. So
Oh, and they are intense.
you don't want that.
No. And she didn't think that I wasn't following policy either, because I had all of the policies and all that stuff in place, but I poo-pooed things. So if somebody would say something like, she wasn't wearing her gloves, I'm like, well, just remind her to get her gloves. What's the big deal? FYI, that is not the right thing to say. Do not say anything like that. All right. We got a couple of things over here. I'm curious how you find and compensate your trainers.
Typically, I mean, for us, we're looking for people that, they know how to clean, but arguably, some of our better trainers aren't necessarily our best cleaners. It's a different job description. I mean, you need to understand how to do it, but it's really more about having the patience and being able to coach and lead other people to adopt the right practices. So, I mean, it's a matter of personality and demeanor a lot of times. And we compensate our trainers like on an hourly basis. And, we do incentive pay. We do rev share for most of our work, but not for our training, because if you put your trainers on rev share, and this is something we learned over the years. In the early days, we used to do just commission, for that too. But the whole focus, if you're the trainer at that point, and you're getting paid on a rev share, then you're really being motivated by, how many homes can I clean and how much revenue can I generate? But if it's like, we're going to give you a home and we're going to be paying you hourly, take as much time as you need, just make sure that we're covering our learning objectives for today, you get a different outcome.
Adding to that, well, we do the same thing. The additional thing that we do is when the person comes out of training, how well they can perform certain functions of the job. They'll get a rating, and dependent on that rating, the trainer will get a bonus for each person. So they can get anywhere from $25, $50, or $100 per person that they train. So that's always helpful too. But we find our trainers from, I want to say the majority of our trainers have come from our field staff, but maybe 10% have come from other places. So another job where they were a trainer. I had a teacher one time that was working for us part-time, and she was an amazing trainer. She didn't really know how to clean all that well, but she knew how to train, and she really produced some amazing people. She's good at following our process.
So Juan's talking about explaining what the benefits, you're getting, and I guess after 90 days or whatever the landmarks are, that's certainly important. I mean, there should be a whole policy handbook that lays out everything that we're talking about here and a lot more. What are your policies about, smoking? What are your policies about, just code of conduct type stuff? How do you expect, your team members to treat each other? What are your policies and practices regarding things like profanity? Uniform is a big thing that you would certainly want to include in here. These are all things that trip people up. People show up to work and they're not dressed appropriately. I mean, you got to expel all that out.
And the reason why that can be a problem is a lot of the people that come to work in our industry are, if you know anything about DISC, it's somebody that we would call high C. They're people that enjoy compliance. They like to do things the right way. And it's part of why they like to clean, because they like to get things really, really clean. So because we attract a lot of those types of people, they don't like to get things wrong. So most of our people are not going to file a labor complaint because you told them that they weren't wearing their uniform correctly, or it was dirty, or it was wrinkled, and they didn't have the right stuff on. But your high C person, your very compliant person, can feel attacked and belittled by a conversation about not wearing their uniform correctly. Maybe they don't have their name tag on, or maybe it's on the wrong side, or whatever those things are, and that can force an audit. So yes, all of these things are important. What you're looking for are the things that can impact an employee in a way that makes them feel like they're not important, that they don't matter in this company. So, and that what they care about is not important to you. And so those are really the things that you want to make sure that you hammer on in a really big way. One more thing that we kind of, not you, but we kind of hit on earlier, and that I wanted to talk about a little bit more, is it is really easy to feel like you've said everything and that you've told everybody everything, because once you've been in business for a while and you've hired a few people, you've said these things so many times that it feels like, how could anybody not know? But you're the only one that's heard it that many times. The other people have not. And so that's why it's so important that you have a really good system for making sure that that information goes out to everybody and that they understand it. So the reason why you want to get people to sign off on information is not so that you can prove to them that you showed it to them and that you told it to them. It's so that you can be assured that they understand and they know and that they got the information. That's the reason for that.
And you may have told them, and they may even sign off on it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they heard it and they understood it.
Very true.
A lot of this is like playing pitch and catch. And just because you throw somebody the ball doesn't necessarily mean they're going to catch it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you need to say it more than one time. It's often good for the important stuff to, get them to affirm, yeah, I understand. And say, well, great. Can you, ask questions where basically they're explaining it back to you. So, they're proving to you that they understand the point that you're trying to convey.
Yeah. So anytime somebody teaches something to somebody else, that is the number one way that people absorb information to a deeper level of their consciousness. So getting them to teach it, explain it, that is a way that you can make sure that people really understand things.
Yeah, right. In a situation where, of course, you understand the policy manual or attendance. We explained that to you. Look, it's on page 52, and you initialed off on it right here. I mean,
that's the worst, y'all. That's the worst. Nobody likes that. That doesn't make anybody feel good. All right. Anything else that you think is critically important that people need to understand? The only other thing that really pops into my mind as a really big thing, hey, little girl. Oh my gosh, she looks old since her haircut.
Yeah,
she really does. Yeah, she still looks old.
It's a different look.
Yeah, much different. Like, that ear tastes good, Dad.
Oh.
Loving this hat. Okay, so the thing that I was going to say I didn't want to get off on was anything to do with your vehicles. How the travel time works, who's driving, who's in charge of the car, responsibilities. Okay, Tom, don't put liver in your ears anymore.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I have no idea.
I don't know. Something's good about that ear. Yeah. So I'll lick anything. I'm easy. What you got? I'll lick it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I think everybody likes to see a cute dog. No, Robin, you don't want to eat the hat. Denise bought that hat. All right. So anything else on setting expectations? Otherwise, we're going to move on to making your company attractive. So what are some of the things that you can do to, is it 6 p.m.? I don't
No,
understand. Why?
we got time.
Yeah, we got time. I'm wondering why he's asking that. Maybe it was a joke about something? Because we're moving so fast. Is that it, Robin? Wow, we're actually at 2 bullet points.
So, how do we make our company attractive?
So making your company attractive, for me, the things that I like to focus on, just so that I have a place to go and a place to get ideas from, is focusing in on matter and meaning. So thinking about how, and that's why I have those 2 M's bolded there. The first 2 M's. Dog was getting unruly. It was a joke. I get it. She's like, come on, it's time to go. Are you done? It's 6 o'clock, Dad. Let's go. I get it. All right. So matter and meaning. So some ideas here. You're trying to make your company attractive by showing people that they matter and that there is some meaning in this work. We talked a lot about meaning yesterday, and the importance of figuring out the meaning that you and your company bring to the people, whoever those people are, the different shareholders. Shareholders, Tom, or stakeholders?
We call it stakeholders.
Okay.
Shareholders technically like own the company. Stakeholders mean they have a vested interest. It's a broader term. Stakeholders. Okay. So the idea of making your company attractive, is this like you're trying to affirm that this is an awesome place to work and you really want to work here? And
yeah.
You're I guess you've already got them to buy because they decided to work for you, but you don't want them to have buyer's remorse, maybe?
Yeah, they're not committed. Week 1 is when they're still deciding, is this a job for me? Is this good? Do I like it? Do I fit in? All of that stuff. So you really want to do exactly like you said, Tom, show people why this is the right company for them. It doesn't mean, really good decorations, really cute couches. Thank goodness for that too, because I got no aesthetic over here. I can't make something look good if I had to. Why this is an awesome company. Yeah. So curious what y'all do. How do you make your company attractive to the new people? So a couple of examples. We talked a lot about meaning. Here are some other ways to bring matter in that can make your company seem more attractive. One of the things you can do is take their picture and post it. They're new, post their picture. Most people like the way that they look and they like to have their pictures posted. Give them a warning. Don't take their picture when at the end of a long day when their hair's all nasty, and if they're women, their makeup, or I guess if men too, and their makeup is all messed up. Most people don't like that. So you can post their picture. You can use their name. Give them a name tag right off the bat, y'all, that has their name on it. Even if it's on, what's that stuff called? The tape. You know what I'm talking about? Where like labeling tape that's on another name tag that's on. That's fine. Use their name. Okay. People like their name. Who is it that said that the #1 most favorite word in the English language is somebody's own name?
I've heard that. So you're talking about posting the picture like on a bulletin board with like
okay. Welcome, like a welcome board. Oh, it was Dale Carnegie that says that, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Read that book, y'all, if you want to find a way to bring matter to people as well. How to make them feel like they matter. That's a great book to read. So you could post their picture. You could use their name, give them a name tag. Make sure that they have a uniform. If everybody else has a uniform and they don't feel like they belong. They feel like an outsider until they have a uniform. What else can you do?
And
Who else?
what does the uniform include? If you have aprons, you want to make sure that they get shirts, they get aprons, they get you know
Whatever your uniform is.
I've seen an approach, or at least a kind of a conservative mentality on this. It's like, well, I'll give them a shirt, and if they come back the next day, maybe I'll give them another shirt. And it's almost setting the expectation. If you think about what shirts cost and aprons and all that relative to the amount of money that you're going to be investing in a new hire, go all in. Make them feel special. You're not going to have to reduce your turnover rate by very much to make that a very worthwhile investment.
I would say to that, after the second day, because you need a little bit of buy-in, and there is a way to still give people a uniform. So this is just me. Remember, Tom and I don't agree on everything. You and I aren't going to agree on everything, right, Denise? Juan? Right? So this is just a difference of opinion. For me, on the first day, I'm going to show them that they matter by not giving them a shirt. I'm going to give them a shirt to wear for the day, and I'm going to have them turn it in. I'll wash it. I'll take care of it for them so that they are not burdened by this in their first couple of days until they decide that this is a good fit for them. Okay. So that's how I'm going to do that.
You want to make sure, though, I'm good with that. You just want to make sure, though, that, you're not nickel and diming them day after day after day. At some point, you want to be looking for that opportunity to say, okay, I'm all in on you. And I believe that you're all in on us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get that commitment from them, you definitely need to make a matching commitment to feel like they matter. Absolutely. Another way to make people feel like they matter is have a check-in with them. In that first week, gosh, I'm not thinking you can check in too much in that first week. I prefer a daily check-in at the end of the day. But a lot of people I know do 2 times a day, and some people do every other day. So there's lots of different ways to make people feel like they matter. But I prefer daily. Just finding out some basic things about them. How are they feeling about the job? Do they like it? What are the hard things? What are the easy things? What do they enjoy? What's the worst part so far?
Does this have to be a long discussion?
No, couple minutes. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, just real quick. It's just, asking the questions matters some, but the bigger impact is just showing interest.
Yep, agreed. There's a caveat to that. If you ask a question today, and then you ask the same question tomorrow and you act like you didn't listen to the answer yesterday. So if you ask the exact same question, I'll give you an example. If you say, so what's the hardest part of the job? And they say, oh, I think getting up and down all day long. I didn't realize I was going to be up and down, going behind toilets. And that's been really hard for me. And then the next day you say, so what's the hardest part of the job? They're like,
you don't want to come across that you don't even remember talking to them yesterday, that you still don't know who they are.
Right. But you might still ask the same question, and it might sound like this on the second day. So now that you've had another day, now what's the hardest part of the job? Even if you really don't know what they said yesterday, sounds like you did. So there are strategies to make things appear the right way.
And name tags are really important for some of us because I really stink at names, but I love when everybody has a name tag because I act like I know people's name when sometimes I don't.
I love name tags. And you know what, Tom, where you are, the people have names I have never heard of before. And I even struggle. I'm good with names, and I even struggle to remember these names. Sometimes I've never even heard of this name. If I have to remember it without seeing it a few times, I'm really going to struggle, and I'm going to do a hatchet job on some of these. I know, Sam, his hats. So backstory, if you haven't been here, Sam, Denise did not care for the fact that Tom actually, that wasn't it. He only had one hat. I think she felt sorry for him because I had a different hat every day. So she sent him hats. And so he's wearing them this week to show everybody these cute hats that she sent. So backstory right there. All right. So just curious, y'all. Do you think that Tom feels like he matters to Denise? Not saying that people have to buy other people presents or anything like that. But do you think that, yeah, so cute, right? So that's an example of how people can feel like she sent 3, how people can feel like they matter to someone else. And they're not thinking in terms of, Tom never thought, wow, I know I really matter to Denise. No, that was not a thought he had. But I promise you that when Denise's name pops up now, he has a little extra tag in his brain around her name. He's like, oh, Denise, she's so nice. She's so cool. There's a whole thing that happens. You feel like you are connected to those people. So
well, I'm going to pull one of these hats out, this winter, next winter, this coming up winter, I guess, this next Christmas. And I'm going to think of Denise.
Absolutely. And so am I. So are the people on here. Right. Okay. So, but you're going to think of it in a different way. You're going to have a feeling of, wow, that was really cool, of Denise, where I'm going to think, oh, she's nice. I'm going to think it. I'm not going to feel it. It's going to impact you more. Yeah. So keeping in mind, remember, matter and meaning are all about feeling, how people feel. Okay. So here we're trying to give you some examples of how you can make people feel like they matter. And we're not putting a lot of examples about meaning in here because we talked so extensively about meaning yesterday and how the meaning is about what is impactful for you and your company, how you impact the different stakeholders, your customers, your team members. Sometimes it could be your community. It can even be your suppliers, right? The people that are supplying you with stuff. It could be your family too, and people's families. So I see that we've got like 2 minutes left. Who here can throw me an idea in the chat about how they make an employee feel like they matter? What are at least, I know you all do some stuff. Who can give me one thing? I'll give you one more that we do over here while I'm waiting for your comments. We have a thing that I'm going to butcher when I give the name of this. I think it's called a Fun Sack gift pack. It's something like that.
A what?
I think it's called a Fun Sack gift pack. It's some horrible name like that. Fun Pack gift sack. I'm not sure. I think it's Fun Sack gift pack that we give them, and we give it to them on their first permanent day of work. And it's got fun stuff in it. It's got some treats. It's got some little like games, little puzzles, bubbles. It's got stuff that they can share with their team member. It's got snacks, drinks in it. So it's just something. It's got their name on it. And somebody hands it to them and says, here you go. I wanted to give this to you. So there's a script around how it's handed to them. And that can make people feel like they matter. Again, that's kind of gifty. And gifts are not, oh, this is a good one, Tom. Here under this area, you can congratulate them on work anniversaries with a little basket of gifts. Yep. The love languages books. Can you put that down on there for me?
Sure.
This is a really big deal. If you are struggling at all and you're like, I don't really know how to make people feel like they matter, get this book and read this book. Any one of them. Love languages at work is a good one, or language of appreciation at work, I think is the name of it. It's something like that. But one of the things that you're going to find, so there's 6 basic love languages, how people feel like they matter according to you in these different areas. Some people feel like they matter when they receive gifts. Some people with words of affirmation, some with acts of service. So there are 6 different, and we don't have time for all of them because we're top of the hour, but gifts is far down on the list. And our tendency is to want to give people things, gifts, because it's easy. We buy it and just give it to them. But that's the least of the impact typically.
Real quick, how important is it for this to be individualized and personalized as opposed to, say, you've got 3 new people starting one day and you just kind of do the same thing for all of them? Do you lose something in that regard?
You lose it all. Not with meaning, but with matter. You lose it all if you try to give a blanket approach.
So if you've got 2 new people and you go up and you ask them both the exact same question, then that kind of isn't as awesome as maybe taking them aside and talking to them one-on-one.
Actually, the same question is okay. It's your response. Your response needs to be unique for each person. It needs to be in response to what they say, not a boilerplate response. The question's okay. People expect that you're going to have the same questions, but I want to know that you care about me and what I say. So you have to listen and respond accordingly.
Well, we're on the downhill side of this training and onboarding with the spirit of reducing turnover, and we're going to be moving on to productivity and efficiency and some of the more hard number type stuff later next week. We'll be here Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern, Smart Business Moves. Till then, you guys have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.